For as long as I can remember, Magic the Gathering has been the most played TCG, bar none. You can go into almost any game store in the United States right now and there's a game of Magic the Gathering going on. Frankly, it's what I loved about Magic when I first got involved more than 2 decades ago at this point. I love the fact that I could sit down and play almost anywhere I went. But I'm one of those weird Magic the Gathering players where I also respect that this ecosystem is not just about sitting down and playing the game. That is the backbone and the core of every great trading card game, but every great trading card game must have and maintain a collectible aspect. You have to have people seeking out the pieces that you are producing. And for this reason, I am impressed with Magic the Gathering, the change of collectability in 2025, and where I think the scene is going. Now, before you just click off this video, we're not just talking about high-priced cards in today's content. That's right, we're going to talk about what makes a TCG, what makes Magic so good from a collectible standpoint right now, and it's not just crazy $1,000 cards. It is far more than that. I'm going to look at the sets in this year, 2025, going forward, and see what is making them so collectible. Then I'm also going to talk about a gap I see in collectability and why I think more members of our community could start moving in that direction if things continue to go well. All of that and more in today's video. If you like content like this, hit the like button and the subscribe button down below because, well, it helps a small channel like mine more than you can possibly imagine. All right, we have a lot to cover today. Let's get into it. So as I stated, collectability just isn't about how expensive of cards you can make, how rare you can make a product. Collectability is about resonating with your community, giving people things that they are proud to show off. And as someone who made what I call the most interesting binder on the internet with random cards ranging from 50 cents all the way up to several hundreds of dollars that I take with me to conventions and to local trade nights and whenever I go play, this is something that is extremely important. And Magic the Gathering is leaning into that in ways that I could not have possibly imagined they would, especially at the high end. And that's kind of where we're going to start today. Looking at sets in 2025, we see that even sets like Aether Drift, a set that was very poorly received by community members like you and I, there are cards that you can collect, cards that you can chase for value, for collecting whatever it might be, that are several $100s, multiple hundreds of dollars, and there are also cards in various price ranges to make people who want special treatments, want to bling out their commander decks, which is the most popular form of collecting, and people who want to put together cool binders, feel like they have a home, feel like they have somewhere to go. To point this out, some of these cards that we see out here are only a couple dollars, but they would look amazing in binders, and I have seen and can continue to see people show off in ways that we had not seen in the last 3 to 5 years. No one was showing off a $16 card in their binder because these are just beautiful treatments. And credit to Wizards of the Coast for putting together an entire division of their company based on treatments and the visualization and the visual concepts of cards. They've done a fantastic job. But this effect that we're seeing is compounded when the set is not Aether Drift or when the card is serialized. We see the serialized Aether Drift cards are a bit crazy and they are very expensive, but serial numbered cards have become a backbone of Magic the Gathering collecting. Whether you like it or not, whether you respect the fact that just because there's a number on it the card is different or not, the community has taken to it, and a set like Aether Drift, something like the Aether Spark with sales listings at $1,900, $1,700, $1,300, these things show that whether we choose to engage with collecting that way or not, it is an absolute hit. But WotC did have a bit of a problem. All collecting since, the inception of serialized cards was really tied up in serialized cards. We weren't really chasing down anything high value, showing anything off still that wasn't of the serialized nature. Heck, I was a big believer. I bought a ton of Brothers War serialized cards. I have them to this day, and I'm still looking for a last couple to complete my set, but I do believe that it was Wizards of the Coast initiative, and I believe it is healthy to have collector items, for things for people to collect that are not just serialized. And Tarkir Dragonstorm was a really good example of that. We see a highly anticipated set with a theme that we, the players, love, and cards in treatments that are just gorgeous. These things are absolutely beautiful. You are proud to put them on a table. You are proud to put them in a binder in your commander decks, and they're also iconic win conditions. We have a Crater Hoof Behemoth here that in foil is, $150, $160, $175 out the door after tax and everything like that. And this is a glorious card. It has a wonderful history, and people want to own this. It is tied to the gameplay of Magic the Gathering. It is a special treatment. It is a collectible. And because of that, we have found a way to bring back some of that love, bring back some of that care in cards like Crater Hoof Behemoth. But as we said, it's not just about the Crater Hoof Behemoth collectability. Mox Jasper in the showcase. We see the new borderless treatments where the cards look unlike any Magic cards we have seen before, and people are filling binders and commander decks with these things every single day. And this goes double for something like the Dragon Scale foil fetch lands. It's much along the lines of Crater Hoof Behemoth. Adding these cards into the ecosystem boosts collectability. And why is that important? This collectability is super important because it ties us to the game. It ties us to the product. It gives us this emotional attachment. When we care about something and we like looking at something and we love the fact that it's in our collection, it binds us to that thing being Magic the Gathering. And it's something that's been sorely lacking for the better part of 7 years now. There's been no emotional connection. Releases are coming fast and furiously, and we have no desire to stick around and be involved in this because that's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and boxes are tanking and prices on Amazon and nothing is valuable, but everything is accessible even though we don't want it because it's so cheap and because we don't want that accessibility. It's this crazy ecosystem that we are really doing a great job to circumvent by getting people who collect cards to care again. And they took that up to 11 when they introduced massive IPs like Final Fantasy, the traveling chocobos, the Final Fantasy characters in their borderless Surge foil arts are wonderful examples of merging the world of Universes Beyond and collectors of Final Fantasy to the collectors of Magic the Gathering. This and Spider-Man are just an absolute surge in Magic the Gathering collecting, and this is something that we didn't have access to before. We may have gotten a taste of this with something like Lord of the Rings, but it wasn't to the extent that we're seeing right now. The idea that people want to collect all of their characters from their favorite version of the game is something that we weren't used to seeing and hasn't been around in Magic for some time since we cared about Chandra and Jace, etc. This is a beautiful ecosystem for people who care about collectability of the game. And while I know, I see you out there screaming in the comment section, you're just shilling hundreds of dollars of cards or gatekeeping, there are cheap versions of these cards that you can pick up in regular treatments, cheap being relative to their playability, as, spoiler alert, Magic the Gathering has always been, even when it's been its cheapest, the good cards cost more than the bad cards. It's how it's always been. But sometimes there are hundreds of dollars separating the chase variant of something versus the core variant of something. So this collectability that is given to us through Universes Beyond is better exemplified when we take a look at our first Universes Beyond serialized card, the Traveling Chocobo. These cards selling for, as we see some fake ones, the XX out of 77, we see some real ones selling for $46,000, $95,000 sale canceled with the best offer accepted. These just go to show, whether it's for you or not, whether it's in your price range or not, people are spending their hard-earned money on these cards, and they are doing so because they like the card. They like what it brings them. They like the joy. If you're buying it to hold for long-term value, well, you're tying up $50,000 for 10 years. There's probably better ways to do that, but I digress. This is a very, very weird and high-end ecosystem we're seeing going on here, but again, cheap versions of those cards being available, having people proud to show them off, is where it's at. And Edge of Eternities takes collecting to a new level with the Sothra the Super Void Showcase foil, the Singularity foil card. This level of collectability is what Magic the Gathering, in my opinion, wishes to achieve. Now, imagine for a second that we are in a world where the most expensive, the most chase variant of a card doesn't have to be serialized. It's just a special version of that card. It's unique art, it stands out, it's bold. These are the things that make most of the rest of TCG collectability really pop, and Magic is finally getting to the point where we can start doing this. Magic has always been making unique and crazy treatments. Heck, there was an Ob Nixilis in Streets of New Capenna that I thought looked bonkers and was $119 that dropped all the way down to be like 18 bucks. Shout out to my buddy Louie over at Kitchen Table TCG. We bought a lot of those cards. It did not work out, but I digress. This specialized treatment, this unique look on the card, the art, the feel, the texture, the emotion driving the value of the price as well as its rarity is pure gold from a collectability standpoint. And again, the Super Void is another example of a card where, well, if you really want to play it, you can get a playable version for much cheaper. All in all, this is an area of collectability that I think is stronger than ever in Magic the Gathering. We are down a path right now that I didn't think we were going to see in my Magic the Gathering lifetime. And while yes, I will continue to chase high-end collectible cards as I can, I will also continue to fill out my collection of cards that I enjoy. In Spider-Man, it's my plan to fill out my favorite Spider-Man characters. Even not if I can't get the crazy expensive chase versions, I just want the Spider-Man character to put it in a binder and say, these are my introductions to Spider-Man. This is why I love them. Maybe I'm a weird collector. Let me know in the comments section below if that's something that you plan on doing also. But I will admit, on the high end, I'm going to try to chase down those comic book backs. I want to see the comic book cover back cards, and man, I cannot wait for those. But all of this just ties me back to the thought of the emotional attachment to Magic the Gathering. And in my opinion, the lack of emotional attachment to Magic the Gathering, its history and its long-term pull, it's why the secondary market for vintage Magic the Gathering has been, well, so dry. With everything coming out, we have hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars of cards releasing in every set, but vintage Magic, your Black Lotuses, your Ancestral Recalls, heck, your Dual Lands, they remain completely unfazed. And this is because, in my opinion, we have a lot of new people coming into Magic the Gathering. Universe Beyond is doing the Universe Beyond thing. They're bringing eyeballs into our game. But people who have come into our game before Universes Beyond's inception and before the revitalization of collectability had no reason to look back at the history of Magic the Gathering. Things were coming fast and furiously, none of the value set to hold, and you weren't really collecting. You were sitting there playing, you weren't blinging out decks, you were just having a go at smacking your friends with some cardboard. For this reason, that emotional detachment was very present. The idea that you could just move away and not think about this was a core pillar of our community. Now, there is a deeper emotional attachment. Credit Universes Beyond where it's due, we are pulling in people who care about characters, who care about stories, who care about the collectability, and we are transitioning that into things like Tarkir Dragonstorm and Edge of Eternities because of the card treatments, because of, yes, even the value and the attachment to Magic the Gathering, the thing. For this reason, while vintage collectability is down, if we are able to play the long game and keep these players involved and keep people in the fold, it is my opinion that the next logical step eventually for a Magic the Gathering collector is to start to traverse down the path of old Magic, the history of the game. Where did things come from? It was my path personally. I started with all new stuff and then eventually slowly over time just got really interested in how old and crazy the art was in these old pieces of cardboard, iconic cards like Counterspell, Fireball in these old treatments, etc. For that reason, I think there is a gap in vintage Magic the Gathering right now, and I think if we're able to maintain an ecosystem where people care about collectability, we will see collectors start to move in that direction. All in all, Magic the Gathering collectability has done a complete 180. In my opinion, just in 2025 alone, we have seen crazy additions to our collectability, to the Magic Players collection, to the Universes Beyond collections, etc. But I could just be someone who enjoys Magic. I could be romanticizing Magic the Gathering and collecting it, and if you think Magic collectability is terrible right now, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. I'll also link another video showing the world's most interesting Magic the Gathering collection that I'll link over here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Again, support the channel for $5 a month through the channel membership if you want to. It helps everything I do here, and until next time, you all know me. My name is Josh, and we'll see you around. All right, goodbye.